Hi everyone, my name's Andrew Smith and I work for the Label Makers Group of Companies, one of Australia's leading manufacturers in self-adhesive label and packaging products, with over 9 manufacturing plants throughout Australia and New Zealand. We are very proud this year to be sponsoring the James Halliday Wine Challenge for 2022, and we wish everyone the very best of luck.
Hi, I'm Adam Waterwitz, Chief Winemaker at Shaw & Smith in the Adelaide Hills. I've been judging at the James Halliday Chardonnay and Cabernet Challenge for the last week in Margaret River. It's an amazing show that allows a deep dive into wines from different regions all across Australia. We assemble the best judges in the country to come together and dive deeply into each variety and each vintage, and in the end we end up with some winners from each region and that's 2 overall winners. I'm joined by some pretty amazing judges. The panel leaders have been outstanding this week. We've got Sarah Crowe, who comes from the Yarra Valley, from Yarra Yering, an amazing old winery. We've got Adrian Sparks from Mount Pleasant in the Hunter Valley, and Gabrielle Ploy from the Prince Wine Store. They've done an amazing job with their team members who represent a lot of judges from across the country to find the gems that come forward. It's been an amazing week. The James Halliday Cabernet and Chardonnay Challenge is a little bit unique. There's 31 regions represented for Chardonnay. There's 22 regions represented for Cabernet, and it really is a different way of judging these wines blind. Sarah, how did you find the week?
I love the idea of these challenges because, as you say, it's a deep dive into the variety, but also it's a deep dive into each region. So as the wines come out regionally grouped, we really get to judge them like in a wine show situation and look for, give them their score out of 100 and the associated medals. And what we're really trying to bring to you on the front table is the top wines from each region, and then together we all work out which one is the regional winner. So it's a little bit different to a wine show situation, even though we use a lot of the same procedures, I suppose, and just really looking for the top wines from the region. You feel like you've kind of achieved something in that class.
Yeah, I think one of the things about it being, that the wines are tasted blind, but you can see some similarities between the regional because they come from a region. They look like that they're from the same area, and it's a pretty nice thing to walk away feeling like you've understood that vintage, you've understood that region. What did you think, Gab?
Yeah, I totally agree. As selfishly as a wine person, it gives you an insight into a vintage and a cross section that you can comfortably talk to your customers about, and you know what to buy and what will sell well and what won't. And one of the great things is, as well as judging regionally and not knowing what the region is, but also talking to all the different judges that come from around Australia that make all these great wines, these great wine regions, and how they see them. And it's a really nice collective of thought and perspective. And I think that was done pretty respectfully, besides Adrian's.
Adrian, did you have a fun week, or how did you find it?
Well, I didn't like hanging around with Gab Poy, that's for sure. No, look, it was a great week. Great to be immersed in a region, standing around the vines. You get a real sense of, love of Chardonnay and Cabernet. And I just love the collegiate nature of judging with some great people, getting to talk to people about wines, 5 people running through a panel, doing their absolute best to find, the greatest ones in their lineup, and what my best is and someone else's best is doesn't always align. However, it's the discussion post that, making sure that, the best wines are getting up for, their true characteristics and their true winemaking skill and good fruit quality. And then coming together again when there were split panels and working with yourself and Sarah and Gab, just to find that best of the best. It's really great judging, and that's why I love regional wine shows. Judging in a region is great.
Yeah, I think there was so many highlights. There was depth of flavour, depth of concentration. Then there was styles that were kind of, all built around structure. So it was one of the things we talked about was that quality in general was really high, and a lot of the times we were making calls on style, and that's when it really brings out the strength in the judges and really pushes people to really understand why this style is such a valid expression.
I think it helps us understand new regions as well. Like you really see that, well, for me, Cabernet, the growth of Cabernet in the last 5 or 6 years has gone from these big, rich wines to these subtle, medium-bodied, beautiful, elegant wines, and it was great to see.
So I will pass over to Sarah Crowe to talk a little bit about the Adelaide Hills.
Thanks, Adam, and it's been a real pleasure to be involved in the Chardonnay and Cabernet Challenge this year. The Adelaide Hills was an outstanding class to judge. The medal strike rate was one of the highest in the show. We awarded 11% of entries gold medal, and then a striking 22% received a silver medal. And at the conclusion of that judging, I commented to you, Adam, that when you see how many silvers we have awarded, you're going to think that wonder what drugs we were on. But you already knew it was the drug of the Adelaide Hills, Chardonnay. Look, the Adelaide Hills is a diverse region, and we saw that equally during the judging, and hopefully we've rewarded those diversity of styles, from the leaner, tighter styles to the more generous, opulent, fruit-dominant styles as well. I guess this shows what an ideal climate, good viticulture and some classy winemaking can bring together in modern Australian Chardonnay. And so the regional trophy from the Adelaide Hills goes to Penfolds Wines for their 2020 Reserve Vinay Chardonnay. So congratulations, Penfolds.
Thanks, Sarah. It was such a really strong class, and diverse styles absolutely rewarded. I now would like to introduce Gabrielle Poy, who judged the Eden Valley Chardonnay class.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle Poy from Prince Wine Store in Melbourne. Great to be involved in the show this year. We got to fly straight into Busselton, which was amazing, from the east coast to the west. So he's hoping there's many more flights coming between east and west, and a great deep dive into Chardonnay and Cabernet with many wine brands from around Australia. Eden Valley was a smaller class, as you'd expect, but there was really lovely, vibrant cores of fruit and acidity, reflecting the strong 21 vintage, and nice winemaking. The top wine had some great winemaking complexity add there that didn't stomp the fruit, so it was really lovely and vibrant. So the top wine from Eden Valley was the 2021 St Hugo Eden Valley Chardonnay. Congratulations.
Now throwing to another panel chair, Mr. Adrian Sparks from the Hunter Valley.
Hello, my name is Adrian Sparks, winemaker for Mount Pleasant Wines in the Hunter Valley. It was a real thrill to judge at the Chardonnay and Cabernet Challenge this year. Some beautiful wines across a number of different regions, and a number of regions that are unfamiliar to a lot of people, and some beautiful wines, some beautiful winemaking. And you can really see Australia moving towards that medium-bodied, beautiful, savoury style. It was a real treat. The Great Southern Chardonnay class, there were 6 wines. All wines received a medal. Beautiful wines, all fine-boned, lovely length, lovely drive, and beautiful fruit. And the best wine showing complexity, fruit, oak, everything in balance. It was a delicious wine. And that was West Cape Howe 2020 Stick Scully Chardonnay. So congratulations, West Cape Howe.
Thanks, Adrian. Now back to Gabrielle Poy to speak about Hunter Valley.
Hunter Valley, 11 wines entered and 8 scored medals, so it was a high hit rate. It was nice to see too the warmer region of Hunter Valley and the expression Chardonnays had There was some nice sort of opulence on the core of fruit, and the best wines had a great vibrancy and energy to the wines. The top wine was the 2021 Briar Ridge Single Vineyard Chardonnay. It was lovely. It had some really complexing winemaking, oak and spice in there, and with a nice core of fruit. So congratulations, Briar Ridge.
And back to Adrian Sparks for the Margaret River results.
It was a real honour to judge in Margaret River and to judge this class. 114 wines across a number of producers, across a number of different styles, some beautiful fruit-driven wines, some lovely complexity, some lovely oak, some beautiful winemaking, and a real treat to be able to judge these a few times. A split panel across all three panels, into a top gold medal, and into the top of the class. Such beautiful wines, and the winner this year was the Deep Woods Estate 2021 Reserve Chardonnay.
And the next award to be announced by Sarah Crowe.
I'm going to talk about the Mornington Peninsula now. This was an exceptionally strong class where separating the top wines was really, really difficult. This was actually my last class of the week, and so it was a real pleasure to finish the challenge judging the Mornington Peninsula. The region presented us with some wines with this lovely kind of pillowy softness to them. Look, really respectfully handled fruit in the winery. Made some classically delicious Aussie Chardonnay. We had barely anything to grumble about, and only 2 entries from 22 did not receive a medal. Having said that, the results were overwhelmingly dominated by Montalto, who received 4 gold medals and 2 silver medals for their 6 entries. So it'll be no surprise that I announce the regional trophy winner for Mornington Peninsula is Montalto for their 2021 Pennon Hill Chardonnay. Congratulations.
And Sarah Crowe will now announce the regional winner for Pemberton.
Yeah, Pemberton was this really a small class of 5 wines, and overall they were really very strong and pleasant, lovely wines. The oldest wine was, however, the strongest and still beautifully fresh and complex. So the winner for Pemberton is Below and Above for their 2019 Chardonnay. Congratulations.
And while you're on a roll, Sarah, do you want to introduce the regional winner from Tasmania?
Yes. So jumping over to Tasmania now, this class was how I started judging the challenge. It was a wonderfully bracing trip to Tasmania, where the vibrant acidity kind of gave the game away, and certainly woke me up to the task at hand after spending the morning travelling to Margaret River before an afternoon's judging. And as a young winemaker, I visited this winery and asked a question about their oak barrels that had been delivered and were sitting in the car park. Before I knew it, I had been swept into the winery for a lovely little tour with the winemaker. And I love that kind of generosity that we see in our industry all the time. And so it gives me great pleasure to announce that the regional trophy winner for Tasmania is Freycinet Vineyard for their 2019 Chardonnay. Congratulations.
And now Gabrielle Poy will speak to the regional winner from the Yarra Valley.
Yarra Valley was a great class to judge. It was split over between 2 panels. The wines, predominantly 2021, some 2020s in there, but it really spoke to the strength of 2021 as a region. We're looking to that as sort of the rose between the 2 thorns. 2022, unfortunately, very small vintage, and as is 2020. 21 is fantastic. The wines had a lovely cool fruited spectrum, a really driving acidity. They were lively and scintillating. We tried to reward different styles. There were still some richer, riper styles in there, but the one that captured our attention and the regional winner goes to the 2021 A. Rodder Willows Lake Chardonnay. Fantastic wine.
Thanks, Gabrielle. So that rounds up Chardonnay. And I guess for me, it is worth mentioning that how impressive Chardonnay is in Australia at the moment. There's such diverse expressions, and I think for me, it made me feel as though there are so many regions where Chardonnay can really shine. And I think the outstanding results for some of these regions has just pushed up in my mind just where Chardonnay sits amongst its international peers. Make sure you stay online for the end of the video, where you'll hear the overall winners of both the Chardonnay and the Cabernet. Moving to Cabernet, such a deep dive into Cabernet across Australia is something that you don't get a chance to do regularly. And the standout in terms of style and the intensity of fruit and the expression of place and vineyard really shone strongly. Amazing to get together and drill down deeply into these regions, and we're really delighted with the results that have come forward. So to introduce the next trophy, Gabrielle Poy is going to speak about the Clare Valley.
Clare Valley stayed true to what we love best about it, this lovely confidence of the fruit, richly fruited wines, and all expressed within that Cabernet architecture. The top wine went to the 2019 Curie Hill Partner Series Cabernet Sauvignon. Lovely to see a wine with a few years of age, and it was starting to relax a bit in its structure, but it was just a really lovely Cabernet from Clare Valley. Congratulations.
To introduce the Barossa Valley, Adrian Sparks.
The Barossa Valley Cabernets this year were absolutely beautiful. Having judged there a few years ago, really found myself immersed in the different sub-regions across the Barossa, and Cabernet is really growing there. Most people think of Shiraz when they think of the Barossa, but the Cabernets there are absolutely beautiful and sublime. This year's winner was the Grant Burge 2019 Corrigan Park Cabernet Sauvignon.
Thanks, Adrian. Now to introduce the Coonawarra, Adrian Sparks.
Thanks, Adam. Yes, Coonawarra, a region classic, classically known for Cabernet Sauvignon. Some beautiful styles on that Terrarossa strip and extending outwards. The winner of this year's wine was the Yalumba 2019, the Menzies Cabernet Sauvignon.
And while you're on a roll, Adrian, would you like to introduce the trophy winner from the Great Southern?
Yes, back to WA. Great Southern Cabernets, beautiful tannin, beautiful structure, and beautiful fruits, showcasing some classic leafy mentholy notes that you get through Cabernet. All these wines are very, very good, and it was tough to pick the winner, but this year's was the Forest Hill Vineyard 2021 Cabernet Sauvignon.
Thanks, Adrian. Now to introduce the trophy winner, regional trophy winner for Margaret River, Sarah Crowe.
Thanks, Adam. It won't come as any surprise when I tell you that the Margaret River Cabernet class was an exceptionally strong class. And with the timing, for Cabernet Sauvignon, the timing of the challenge is potentially somewhat difficult for the young wines, for the 2021 wines. And I'm sure in next year's challenge, we'll be seeing a lot more strong examples from the 2021 vintage as well. The 2020 vintage performance shows that Margaret River didn't suffer the same difficulties that the rest of the country did in red wines in particular in 2020. And I personally judged the 2019 and older wines. And we saw some lovely fresh examples, yet also a couple of the wines were tiring and not looking quite so fresh. And so Some of the older examples didn't present quite as well. But look, a really lovely class of a lot of classy Cabernets coming out of Margaret River. And I'm pleased to announce that the regional trophy for Margaret River Cabernet goes to Forrester Estate for their 2020 Cabernet Sauvignon. Congratulations.
Gabrielle Poy will now announce the regional trophy for the Yarra Valley.
The Yarra Valley stood out as a beacon for fine and filigreed Cabernets. When we go to judge, we know we're judging within a region, but we don't know what region it is. And it was a really lovely set of refined and elegant Cabernets from Yarra Valley. They spoke more probably towards the red fruited spectrum, and the top wines had some really fine powdery tannins. There was a lot of discussion on the table between a young, lively 2021 Cabernet versus some of the older ones. But in the end, we had to give it to the younger Cabernet. So congratulations to the 2021 Santerre Vineyard Old Block Cab Sav. As a young wine, had incredible fruit depth, purity. It still had that lovely Cabernet structure behind it, but it was just a really vibrant, delicious Cabernet, and we can't wait to grow old with it. Cheers.
I'm very happy to be joining you to announce the winners of the 2022 Halliday Australian Chardonnay and Cabernet Challenge. The winner of the 22 Chardonnay Trophy is Penfolds Wines 2020 Reserve Bin A Chardonnay from the Adelaide Hills. The winner of the Cabernet Trophy is Forrester Estate 2020 Cabernet Sauvignon Margaret River. Congratulations to all 15 regional winners, particularly the trophy winners in this year.
Brilliant. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining, and want to thank a seriously talented group of judges for our 2022 James Halliday Cabernet Sauvignon and Chardonnay Challenge. It's been in the beautiful Margaret River. The wines have been outstanding. It's so great to see such diversity within the varieties, but also the quality that allows them to stand confidently next to international representations of these varieties.